Nag-umpisa sa pagkakandidata ko pagka-presidente, alam naman ng lahat, pati kalaban ko nagsasabi, wala talaga akong pera at wala akong makinaryang pandaraya. Meron akong organisasyon, yung Movers ko at yung People's Reform Party ko, pero wala akong organisasyon para sa pandaraya. Kaya hindi ako sana pumasok dito kung hindi na naramdaman ko at nakita ko at narinig ko sarili ko at hindi lamang ako, pati na yung aking volunteer staff na gusto na talaga ng sambayanan ng pagbabago. Kaya hanggang ngayon, hindi lamang the burden of monitoring all these developments does not rest on me. It rests on the citizenry who have elected me to the presidency. For I have already been elected, at least as of this date. For 3 days now, the Filipino people talking through the ballot box have been saying, we want for President Miriam Defensor Santiago. It is time to listen to the Filipino people. It is time for other candidates to stop talking. Listen to what the ballot boxes say.
Okay. That's the point that you were making a while ago about waiting until the COMELEC makes a decision. That seems to be what you're saying you're going to do. You'll wait until the COMELEC says it's a clean and honest election or it's not, or the law of statistical improbability dictated by the Supreme Court comes into effect. Is that what you're going to do?
Yes.
Wait.
The COMELEC has primary jurisdiction on this matter. It is not for us candidates to say how the process has been conducted. It is principally within the primary jurisdiction of the COMELEC to inform the Filipino people on whether Commission on Elections has properly discharged its constitutional functions. Our functions here as political candidates are subsidiary. They are corollary to what the COMELEC is doing, and we must be supportive of the COMELEC instead of disruptive, which is what some apparently losing candidates are hoping to do at this late date. Gusto nilang guluhin. Maayos na ang lahat eh. Sinabi na ng COMELEC, maayos ang palakad ng ating halalan. That is the general impression, although of course there are always exceptional phenomena in isolated spots in the country. Kaya dapat dito, we must support the COMELEC's position that we must maintain national equilibrium in this moment of great stress for our people, instead of exacerbating it by making speculative statements that have no relation to reality.
I've heard you use the word stress at least half a dozen times in the last 15-20 minutes. You're aware of this, that there is such a thing as a stressful environment that you hope will be resolved by the results proclaimed by the COMELEC.
Sinasabi kong stressful, hindi dahilan sa ginawa ng ating sambayanan, ng halalan, dahil napakagaling nung ginawa na napakaayos. They were out early from their homes, walking towards the precinct. Most of them were young people. They were in the proper pitch of enthusiasm. Ang sinasabi kong stressful ay ganito. Naririnig natin at nalalaman na merong tinatawag na special operations, yung ibang kandidato, na hindi nagbuga ng tagumpay ang kanilang mga ginagawa, kaya yata ay gusto nilang pwersahin na makuha pa rin nila ang gusto nila. Hindi dapat ganon. We operate in a legal system. Sundin na lang natin ang ayon sa batas. At ang atin na lang sanang pag-asa ay si Pangulong Aquino ay huwag niyang payagan na ang kasangkapan at ang makinarya at ang kayamanan ng gobyerno ay baka mapahiram doon sa madilim na hangarin ng ibang mga tao.
Okay, let's bring it down to a less stressful point. You've already accomplished something. We'll wait for the COMELEC to decide what the outcome is. But I've read articles written abroad. I've seen some of the television coverage of what you've done. And most of them are in extreme admiration in the fact that over the fact that you, starting from nowhere, you were a fired cabinet minister. Your only point of distinction was the Immigration Commission. You are 46 years old, former judge, still a college professor until recently, I think. Or are you still there?
I'm still on the faculty rolls of
Okay.
UP.
All of a sudden, you're number one in the preliminary counting, and suddenly there is a very real prospect of you becoming president. So, what do you think happened? I mean, most people can't figure it out. You don't have money, you don't have organization, I understand that a lot of the people who invited you to speak even paid for your airplane fare.
Right, for 2 years.
And all of a sudden, you're dead. What do you think happened in the 2-year intervening period? What was it that made what caught the imagination of the Filipino people?
Who knows? It's not even for me to say. Who can tell, who can calibrate what percolates in the hearts and minds of every Filipino as he watches his country go not only into deep economic but also moral recession. Yun lang siguro naman. At because I am a church-going Christian, a Catholic, I will have to reduce this eventually to a denominator that is comprehensible to me as a church-going Catholic. I can only explain it as the workings of the Holy Spirit on this Catholic country. Dahil maliwanag na hindi natin mapaliwanag sa rason o sa lohika itong nangyaring ito. It is outside the parameters of reason and of logic that a non-politician like me, so obviously handicapped at the start of the presidential race, in fact a total non-entity, a cipher, should now, after 3 days, emerge as the clear front-runner in the electoral tabulations and the potential winner at the end of this tabulative period. Hindi ko rin mapaliwanag sarili ko dahil hindi naman ako ganyan kagaling o ganyan kadunong, at siguro naman ang aking margin of professional merit over my rivals might not be that substantial. Kaya ang aking lang sigurong maiisip na lang diyang paliwanag, if push comes to shove and I am required to make an intellectual reply to the inquiry, is simply that there is an infinite intelligence that orders the universe. Meron talagang makapangyarihan na kapangyarihan na pinanggagalingan lahat ng ito.
Did you talk this over with Cardinal Sin? You went to see him the other day. You know, that sounds like something a cardinal would appreciate or at least empathize with.
Hindi naman, not necessarily because of my audience with Cardinal Sin, kung hindi on election day ng Lunes, nakabalik na akong magsimba araw-araw doon sa aking parish church. An exercise that I sorely missed for the last 3 months of the campaign period. I have always delivered myself to the will of a being infinitely wiser and more perceptive than I am. That is why I am able, at this point, when everybody seems to be overly concerned about whether my enemies might be conducting covert operations to overturn the will of the people or to manipulate media to prepare the minds of the people for an eventual reversal of so clear electoral fortunes. That is why I am able to keep unruffled in the face of all of these developments. I do not believe that such a momentous occasion as the choice of a president who will lead 62 million Filipinos for the next 6 years, and in that capacity impinge not only on the Philippines, on Asia, but on the rest of the international community. I refuse to believe that this phenomenon can be solely and directly controlled and managed only by human expertise or human will. We must input some
Divine
supernatural factor into this equation.
You're saying divine intervention. That sounds familiar. I think I heard that in 1986. Okay.
Well, maybe history repeats itself.
Okay. One of the things that has been coming out very, very often in trying to explain your performance in the surveys as well as in the first days of the counting is the dissolution of the traditional political parties. The Nationalista Party fielded Vice President Laurel, the Liberal Party fielded Senator Salonga, the LDP, the biggest party, fielded Speaker Ramon Mitra, and then